Hello and welcome back to In the Business. Today we spoke to Charlotte Giddings, the founder of Brownie and the Bean Bakery. In this conversation, Charlotte shared her journey of building a business through lockdown, the importance of staying adaptable, and how she navigated shipping hurdles along the way. She also reflected on what she might do differently if she were to start again, offering some practical, honest tips for anyone on their own business journey. We hope you enjoy this episode.
To start off, we've got a very, very serious and difficult question for you. Now, if you could only eat one flavour of brownies for the rest of your life, what would that flavour be?
Funny you should say that, because just this second I have written a LinkedIn post about our favourite brownie flavour. So it's so difficult. It's like, when someone says, "What's your favourite child?" You're like, I couldn't possibly say. But it's basically like saying children because it encapsulates everything. Basically, it's the base brownie that we first baked. Oh, nearly 7 years ago now. So triple chocolate is like the
Ooh.
get out of jail card. So it's basically like saying I can't choose, therefore I'm going to go for triple chocolate. And I think it's a good one because it doesn't contain gluten, it doesn't contain nuts. So if you're in a celebration situation, there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
And everyone knows what a triple chocolate brownie is going to taste like. So there's none of this, oh, I don't like, jam flavors, or, I'm a bit scared of that, ingredient. There's none of that. Everyone knows it's chocolate. If you don't like chocolate, bog off. But if you do, this is delicious.
This is the one. Sounds
They
lovely.
sort of know what to expect.
Yes.
We always want to start off our podcast with the most thought-provoking questions. So there you have it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's, so if someone says, "What's your favourite child?" and say my daughter's chocolate orange, my son is millionaire brownie, triple chocolate is like the amalgamation of the two. So it's,
Amazing.
the base brownie, it's something that everything is made from. We start with the same dark chocolate brownie with everything. So it's
Amazing.
cool. You can get away with it.
It sounds amazing. Well, tell us a bit about your business, because if I'm right, you had a corporate job in London in media.
Yeah.
And having a bakery and building this business wasn't really part of the plan. So tell us how you got to where you are now.
Oh dear, it was quite a bonkers sort of thing to get, basically I was working in TV and film, having the time of my life, and I just decided one day want to start a family, and the sort of job I had wasn't really conducive to family life. So Luke and I, my husband, we discussed, other things we could do together and how we could build a job around both of us being at home with the children, both of us supporting each other in raising the children together. Because to us, that's the dream. I know other people might not think that way, but that was the dream for us. And I was effectively on maternity leave. Our son was 1, and it was all supposed to go perfectly well. Luke was supposed to go out a couple of days a week, sell some brownies, sell some coffee in our mobile cafe. And I was just going to collect the money, occasionally go to, the cash and carry, or, the wholesaler to buy some ingredients. And it was going to be idyllic. And we had discussed like phase 5,000 of the business. It would be great to do online brownies, but this was just, this was a very, very basic sort of way of living. And everything was fine until it wasn't, because we had got a startup loan to start the business. And when the pandemic hit, we live in a very rural area with a very elderly sort of age range of people living around here. So, I felt opening up our mobile cafe and getting people to come out when they're at their most vulnerable it wasn't for me. I know loads of friends of ours in the industry did very well out of it. Everybody was fine, but I just felt like it wasn't for me. I felt I didn't want to encourage people to come out just for a coffee. I thought, stay in. And, we were sort of faced with this enormous debt, from the startup loan. We were paying rent to a local station to us because we had a mobile cafe pitched outside the local train station. So we had that rent to pay, no income whatsoever. It was absolutely terrifying. Mortgage to pay, this, that, and the other. And we couldn't get the help from the government, the, what was it called, furlough or anything like that. Because we were a startup, we were a limited company. So basically everything that could have been done didn't work for our business.
Sure.
And I think I cried for 3 weeks. And then I said to my husband, I've got an amazing idea. And he was like, what? And I said, why don't I just put a message on Facebook on one of the community notice boards and just sort of say, does anyone want brownies delivered to their doorstep? And he said yes, just to just to sort of stop me from having a nervous breakdown, because I was so worried about how we were going to feed our kids once the food ran out. It was that bad. And then, I just did this note and my phone just did not stop buzzing until we actually went online. It was just literally constant. People saying, oh my God, yeah, come and deliver to me. And I was delivering all over East Anglia. I was delivering all over Cambridgeshire, up to North Norfolk, through Essex, Suffolk. And I even had somebody ask me to deliver to Bedford. Someone asked
No
to
way.
deliver to Bedford. And at that point, I thought, oh, this isn't a sustainable business model, really, because I can't feasibly deliver to Bedford and all these other places in one day. So I said, why don't we go online? And that's where our e-commerce business was born, basically.
Okay. Well, tell us a bit more about that period where you're in all that debt, because that must have been quite formative on your business outlook in general.
It was really hard. And do you know what? The easiest thing to have done would have been to have gone to Tesco, bought a load of battery eggs, a load of Tesco value chocolate, a load of Tesco value sugar. That would have been the easiest thing. And I remember a local business. So this is lockdown has just been announced, and a local business to us said, we'd like to send all of the families at our business a little gift, and we'd love to send some boxes of your brownies. And I think we had something like, it was like literally a couple of quid in the bank at the time. And I just said to my husband, we can scrape enough to get the ingredients to buy them from, awful ingredients from Tesco's. And we were both sort of gutted because, that the whole premise of our brownies is the best chocolate, the best sugar
Yeah.
that's locally, made, the best of everything, free range eggs from the farm up the road, locally grown wheat to make the flour. And it was a case of, oh God, we had that sort of thing in our heads. Do we do it or do we not? And luckily, the business put the money in my bank account immediately. And I was like, oh my God, we can buy the ingredients, we can buy proper ingredients, and we can get a wholesale account. I was like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
insane. I was so happy because we never ever wanted to go back on our morals and things like that. And
Yeah. Sure.
being that much in debt and having literally a couple of quid in the bank and 2 kids to feed and a mortgage to pay, it is quite terrifying. But I'm so glad we stuck to our guns and, and I never, ever wavered there. And my attitude to the debt at the time was, I wasn't charging people anywhere near enough for what I was doing. So I'm driving all over the place, you know, the farthest reaches of East Anglia, in a triangle effectively every single day. I was sort of getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, packing all the boxes, heading straight out. And people were saying to me, can I give you some money for petrol? And I kept saying no. And they said, why are you doing this? And they said, you must be making nothing. And I kept saying, if I make 50p today, that's 50p more than I had yesterday. And I just saw my attitude to debt was just like constantly chipping away at it, and we will get out of this. And I have to say, we got out of
Resilience.
debt
Yeah.
within like a month or so. So we paid off all the overdrafts. Obviously, we didn't pay off the startup loan at that point, but we paid off all the overdrafts, paid off all the credit cards within about a month. And then from that point onwards, we were able to manage it much more effectively. So, I just had this, little by little kind of attitude, because I was
Yeah.
terrified, and all you can do is move forward. You can't stop. So that was it really.
Did you ever doubt the business idea? Just you thought that maybe there isn't a market here.
I think I never saw any other option. I felt that we had these baking tins, we had, the boxes. I just felt there was no other option. And looking back now, I mean, as you say this is probably the first time I've ever thought this myself. I could have gone back into what I was doing. I could have done
Yeah, very
social
easily.
media for small businesses, but it never crossed my mind. And literally, until you've just said it now, never once crossed my mind that I could have got a normal job. We did talk about, should we get jobs? Because I know the supermarkets were crying out for people at the time just to tide us over. But I just knew we were never going to go back to that, the coffee van and having the mobile cafe. And I knew that I would make a go of anything. And, if I tried, and my husband is like this creative genius, like Willy Wonka. He's so exciting when it comes to flavor and things like that. And I just thought, with his talent for cooking and baking and his skill for flavor and taste, and hopefully my marketing skills that I've learned from years in the media, we can sort of marry them together and this will be something. But failure was never an option.
Yeah. I feel like
So,
it's like that saying, if you have a plan B, you'll go to the plan B. If you don't have the plan
yeah.
B, you'll stick to the original one.
That is the thing, is there was never a plan B. So it was like, this has to work. We need to keep moving forward. And my God, have we made mistakes? We have made every mistake in the book, and we've repeatedly made the same mistakes and trusted people we shouldn't have trusted. And do you know what? It's going to make a great autobiography one day. For now, it's quite tough.
Now it's a
But
podcast.
yeah. But in the future, we'll look back on this and go, my God, the strength of character we had to keep on going when all those things went wrong all at once. And it's just, you just carry on.
When did you start venturing out to different flavors, and what's the process of actually creating a new flavor?
Oh,
Do you like invent? Is there such thing as inventing a new flavor? So I was
well,
wondering this. Like, can
it's
you,
a
or
bit
do you
like,
just like find ones that already exist and
yeah, it's a bit
bring
like
them
with
in?
music. Like, there's always, obviously you can create new music, but there's always sort of something that it's similar to, or it sounds like, or some form of influence. And I think that's the same with baking. Like, there's always some form of influence. But to give you an example, my husband and I, when we first met, we would literally walk around the markets of London all weekend, with a backpack on, and just like try and discover new types of spices and different flavors, and go to farmers markets and, talk to producers and stuff. And it's always been something we've been obsessed with. So, um, my husband lives and breathes cakes, baking, any type of food. And he's always got a stack of recipe books next to his bed with, all different kinds of things
Yeah,
like Persian cooking. And, and he will just sort of marry together all these different ideas in his
different
head.
influences. Yeah,
And one of the other things he's quite well known for is for reimagining flavors in a brownie. So you get your bog standard brownie companies that will just stick half a Snickers on top of a brownie and call it a flavor. Whereas my husband will recreate the nougat, he'll recreate the caramel with, the nuts, and then he'll do like a chocolate layer. So he'll do things like that, or recreate a Mars or a double decker, something like that. Or he will just come up with flavors, but he spends so much time doing that, and we change our flavors monthly, so they reflect the
oh,
season. So
really?
he's
Okay.
constantly
A lot
trying
of
to
changes.
find, like, inspiration in the season. So September's always a big one for us, because we've got blackberries that are ripe outside the front of our house, we've got apples that are ripe, and he's always improving on what he already knows as well.
Yeah,
How do
sure.
you make sure? So you create a flavor. How do you make sure it's like people are gonna like it?
Huh.
As
Well,
in, it might taste good for you, but for other people, you don't know.
we do have a bit of conflict every now and again between us. So I'm brutally honest. He did the most horrific flavour based on a memory he had as a child. Bearing in mind, this man can't remember who I am on a day-to-day basis, let alone a flavour he had of ice cream when he was a child. He probably didn't even remember the holiday he was on, but he thinks he had an orange licorice sorbet. He thinks this may have been
Sorbet.
completely, yeah. So he
I can't
wanted
even
to,
begin to imagine what that's like.
yeah, trust me, it was absolutely repulsive. So
Sensitive subject.
yes, very sensitive subject. So in August, we like to do like your favorite holiday flavors reimagined. So he might do a Neapolitan or something else. He will recreate like your favorite flavors of holiday in a brownie or blondie, and the orange licorice did not even make it past coming out of the bakery. I went in there, I tried it. It was absolutely repulsive. I said, nobody is going to get that. Absolutely nobody is going to get that. And he was like, oh, I think it's really interesting. I was like, yeah, it's interesting. All right. There's a lot going on in my mouth, but that is, that is not good. And although our customer loves the excitement and they anticipate all the different flavors each month, it still has to be a crowd pleaser. So you have to bear in mind that it has to have some sort of commercial aspect to it and not go too far off piste with an orange licorice sorbet flavor. So he sort of goes a bit wild and I rein him back in. And I'm more of the commercial sort of like, this, I think this type of flavor will sell. And things like the pistachio, Dubai pistachio thing. My husband, he hates.
That's quite popular, isn't it?
Well, it is supposed to be popular, but my husband hates trends. He hates anything that's like,
okay.
oh,
He's
this
a
is
trend
famous.
breaker.
Yeah, he hates all of that sort of stuff. So I forced him to do some form of. We have done pistachio flavors in the past, but our compromise was that he did a pistachio millionaire, and that was enormously popular, and that was absolutely delicious. So there is a lot of creative conflict going on behind the scenes and rewriting recipes, but you can imagine like every new flavor he creates he has to do like at least 6 times to just tweak the right amount of orange, the right amount of zest, the right amount of nuts with every single thing. So we do get through an awful lot of family freezer brownies. Whenever anybody has a party, it's like, we've got just the thing. We'll bring a brownie tower.
Whole fridge worth, yeah.
And everyone's like, wow, they're so generous. So I'm just like, well, it stops me from eating like 6 trays of, chocolate orange brownie.
I think I need an invite round to your house.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime.
I suppose one of the advantages of being in a business relationship with your significant others, that you can be dead honest. You can say that is absolutely awful.
And the thing is, there's always so much respect there. And I would say it's not easy working with your partner in generally, because it's such a shared thing that there's no sort of like break away from it. There's no sort of getting in the car, that's the other thing, because with the bakeries on the side of the house, you don't even have that thinking time that people have on the car journey on the way home when it's just them. It's we walk into our family kitchen after the bakery and then it's like, oh, we're still talking about work. But I think we're very good at we just know when to switch each other off and we'll start talking about something else. So we don't obsess over it in our normal everyday lives, but you have to really respect the other person, understand where they're coming from. Absolutely. Because although he really did a blunder with this orange disgusting licorice, I knew he was coming from a really good place and he really thought this was brilliant. And but I am brutal with him because I will say to him, this isn't going to work. This isn't quite right. Obviously, I'm not going to beat him. I'm not Gordon Ramsay running around with a,
maybe a sandwich.
Like,
saying?
This is awful. No, with the salami hitting over the face or something. I'm nothing like that. But, and I think he understands that I completely respect his craftsmanship, the fact that he has researched this and he has worked on a free de pat or whatever it's called, in order to make this happen, or he's created his own licorice and done this, that and the other. He knows that I appreciate that about him, but he also knows that I wouldn't say it unless he'd gone really off pace.
No, fair enough
We've got a lovely mutual respect about each other.
Sure.
When it comes to the online, so you said you shifted over to online. What do you use for online? Like, you have a website, but do you use Shopify? What platform do you use for that?
We use WooCommerce and I kind of really regret it. So basically, we started in 2019. I got a basic like WordPress website just to say who we are and this is our phone number. And at the time when we went online, lots of other brownie companies were saying they had Shopify platform and it wasn't stable enough, because a lot of them were doing drops and we've never done drops. So for those that don't know, a drop is when they're like, I've got 500 boxes of triple chocolate to sell and it's going out on Monday, buy it now or it's gone. We've always consistently sold throughout the year. So they all said that, Shopify couldn't take the intensity of the orders, and I am pretty certain that Shopify is absolutely amazing now, and this was probably, a teething thing when the whole world went online in early 2020. But at that point, I'd asked our web designers to design something on WooCommerce because I was concerned about the capabilities of Spotify, and Spotify is now Shopify. Not Spotify.
Shopify.
I can't stop thinking about music.
It's a marketing problem for them. Yeah.
Yes, it's really bad. I just massively regret it because I know there's so many more opportunities with Shopify for tracking and sort of understanding your buyers' habits. And I think the analytics could have really helped us. But, that's another story for another lifetime, I guess. We'll have to worry about it another time.
I guess following on from that then, when it comes to shipping, now I've never really thought of shipping food before. How do you ship food and it not get delayed and it get delivered? I don't know if brownies would have like a 7-10 day shelf life on them, I imagine.
So,
but you'd have to get it to them in like 1 day.
Yes. Again, when everything went online, companies like Royal Mail couldn't really cope and were not used to shipping food and things like that. So the early days, we were there was a particular sorting office in the UK, which will not be named, that they were sort of opening up the parcels, eating the brownies, packaging them back up, and then giving them to the recipient. And I was getting people in this specific large postal area saying they've been eaten. And I said, well, obviously, I'm not going to eat them, then wrap them and send them. And I had to get a sign put up in the sorting office saying, do not eat parcels from this company. And the reason I know this is definitely legit is because I sent my mum a load of gift vouchers in the post with the brownies. The gift vouchers were missing and the brownies were missing. So I know it's, it was definitely a thing that was going on. And locally to us, we also had somebody else have their brownies delivered on Father's Day of 2020 that were eaten. Total rookie error to leave crumbs in the box, like as if I would go to the effort of wrapping something beautifully in greaseproof.
Take a bite, and
then just generally.
How do you regain customer trust after something like that?
I have never, ever, ever had a customer that has been angry about something like that I haven't been able to turn around. And I think it's responding on time. That is so important. I think one of the things that people hate about the bigger companies, John Lewis, for example, you write to them about a complaint and then they'll send you an email back saying, we'll get back to you in a couple of days. And then it takes so much longer, like weeks before you've actually got to a resolution. We always try and sort it out immediately. So we'll either send out another box or give them a full refund, and then give them some sort of incentive to come back to us. But I always do it personally. I don't get anybody else to do it on the team. And, I just explain to them that we are a small family business and occasionally mistakes do happen. But when it comes down to exterior factors, we are very clear to them that, this is an exterior factor and, there's nothing we can do about the odd occasion like a box goes missing. But what we can do is send you out a replacement immediately, and they'll have that within 24 hours of making the complaint.
Yeah, just be as honest and transparent as possible, I guess.
Yes, but definitely respond as soon as you get it. Don't sit on it.
Yeah, sure. Can you tell us a bit about that initial Facebook post? Because Facebook at the moment seems very crowded. I don't know if it would have the same... Do you think it would have the same impact it would now if you were to put that... Say you're launching the business today, if you put that post out, do you think it would have got the same traction?
Definitely not, because now there are a gazillion brownie bakers out there. There weren't that many back in the day, because obviously lots of people took it up during lockdown. They're on furlough and they're like, oh, I can cook brownies and, I'll send them out to people. So, that did spawn loads of photographers, loads of bakers, quite a lot of people doing side hustles. We were really lucky. People were sharing I think because it was a time of desperation, people were wanting to really help small businesses and give them visibility. People were sharing it in, notice boards all over East Anglia and Bedfordshire, obviously. And that was so wonderful that people seem to have really been behind small businesses. But I think over the years, that sort of mentality, that camaraderie has sort of died down. And I think,
Yeah.
at the moment, it is a real struggle for small businesses to be seen.
Sure. Just out of interest, what would you do now if you were to launch it with to get your very first customer? Where do you think you'd go to?
Well, you need to start with an online presence, and you need to be so much more than just selling a brownie, because obviously anybody can just sell a brownie. You need to have a je ne sais quoi about you. And for us, we are obsessed with music. So our je ne sais quoi has always been our obsession with disco music. And I think the two do actually go quite well hand in hand, because disco makes people feel good. Like, there's nothing about disco that people can go, I hate disco. It makes me feel depressed. And the same with chocolate brownies. Like, there's nothing about it that goes, well, unless you have a severe intolerance to,
Yeah.
everything. But there's nothing about it that goes, why somebody sent me this? This is such a stupid idea. Like, they're both like completely optimistic things that go together. And I think you have to really work hard on selling yourself as a brand. And that's something I really, really struggled with, because I'm actually quite a private person and quite introverted.
Yeah.
And I've realized over the years that the reason people come back is because of us as a couple and our
Yeah.
dynamic. And they just love, to know what we're up to next. So yeah, always start with, social media accounts, a personal brand, and have something else other than just selling brownies, because anybody can do that.
Sure. Yeah.
I'd
So,
say it's that getting in front of a camera. Like, it's easy to say, but if you've never done it before, like when me and Tom first started this, wow,
even
it
now,
was
I just
hard.
like,
Yeah.
It
you
was
look back,
very
you
hard.
look back on the early stuff, you're like, why did I say that? Why did I look that
Yeah.
way? Why did I do that?
Why am I completely red in the face? If you look at the first 2 episodes, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy.
I don't think you ever
And
get.
it's
Well, I don't think I'll ever get used to it, but it's just something you got to do, isn't it? Now
It
you
is.
just got to
And
be
Yeah.
out
yeah,
there.
my husband hates, like, he doesn't even have social media. He hates all of that sort of stuff.
Lucky
But
him, honestly.
but then that's become like part of our fun, is that, and part of our characters is that he's the grumpy one that just bakes like there's no tomorrow, and I'm the sort of disco diva, with disco balls
Yeah.
everywhere. And that's the two different sides of our personality.
Yeah, sure. Well, you mentioned what's next for the company a minute ago. Can you just tell us what is actually next? What are your future plans?
So we're going to be on a show on ITV1, coming up
wow.
towards the
Ooh.
end of the
There you
year.
go. Yeah.
So
Well done.
yeah, well, just a little odd thing I've been working on in the background, nothing much.
Is that going to be your husband's first sort of social media experience?
No. So we have been on TV quite a few times before.
Oh,
Much
really?
to
Oh,
my
amazing.
yeah. Well, we actually moved to Suffolk from London because we were on Escape to the Country.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, and then they came back in lockdown to film us and our business and stuff. So we've been on quite a few different episodes of Escape to the Country. And yes, so we were really, really fortunate. We are on a program called Be Your Own Boss, starring Holly Tucker. And over the summer, we filmed the show, and it was all about sort of trying to give small businesses a leg up, because it's really the most tough time, I think, ever for small business at the moment. It is ridiculous. And sort of making tweaks to your business that could give you a longer lasting future than if you hadn't have done. And yes, that goes to air in December, so towards the end of the year.
Exciting.
Yes, and the episode is actually available to stream already on ITVX. We're episode 5.
Promote it as much as you want.
Yeah. And so that's really exciting. And obviously Q4 is our absolutely crazy busy period. So I've got quite severe ADHD and sort of wander around the whole of Q4 feeling overwhelmed, working all the hours and feeling overwhelmed and working all the hours. It's just like a seesaw of emotions. because there are so many components. We do branding for the customers as well. So a company like Google might come to us and they'll say, you know, we want to send 1,000 boxes out and we want all the boxes branded and we want branded messages, this, that, and the other. So we will do all of that for them. So I do all of the graphic design. Well, we do have a graphic designer as well, and we'll, you know, give them more difficult jobs to our graphic designer, but I do the majority of it myself. And there's just so many moving parts at Christmas time. The bakery team are flat out. We've got all our Christmas events. So this, you know, what the immediate
period,
future,
yeah.
we are hoping for a really busy Q4. And yeah, hoping the show will give us some new faces. You know, that's it really.
Yeah, amazing.
How did you go about landing them TV programs? Like, how do you even get on stuff like that?
Well, obviously I used to work in TV, so I know all of
So
the shortcuts.
you knew a couple of people.
None of these things were sort of people that I knew, but I have worked for BBC and I have worked for ITV in the past, so none of them were people I knew at the time. But Escape to the Country was a case of we were working. Well, my husband was working 7 days a week in London and we had no time to look for a property. And my mother-in-law actually suggested that we applied to be on Escape to the Country. But because we're not their normal demographic, I think when our application came in, they were like, oh my God, they're young. They're not, you know, over 70. This is fabulous. And they've got a baby. So I think that's how we sort of, you know, got fast-tracked there. And then with the Be Your Own Boss show, Holly Tucker did a shout out on her social media that she was looking for small businesses to support, and we were chosen as one of the lucky 10 small businesses. But yeah, I mean, I seem to be quite lucky with media opportunities. I seem to.
Well, it's right place, right time,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think so. And I think also showing yourself with your brand, and people can see that you're not afraid to speak and you speak passionately about what you love and what you know in your business. I think that speaks volumes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a really interesting conversation. We always like to ask our guests this one question at the end. So what piece of advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Oh my God.
Tricky one.
Yeah,
more thought-provoking than the starting question.
I would say don't sweat the small stuff. I think I worked so hard in the media, so ridiculously hard because I wanted to prove myself. And, you know, at the time it was fairly male dominated, and, you know, the men were in the sort of more producer director roles and the women were in the production manager roles because they're the more maternal caring roles, you know, the hiring people and stuff. And I felt, I had to really work hard to be seen and to get the promotions. And I would have just said that life has so many surprises ahead of you. This is not it. And if you don't get that promotion, it doesn't matter. Like, there are so many more opportunities in this life and you will be happy. You will be so abundantly happy just following life and fate and its twists and turns.
What a great message. Thank you so much for joining us today, Charlotte.
I feel a bit emotional now.
Thank you.
So do I. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks a lot for listening. Harrison, kick us off. Tell us what you thought about that episode.
One thing I thought was interesting, the fact they don't use Shopify.
Oh, really?
Because I feel like everyone uses Shopify, and I fully expected the answer to be Shopify, and it wasn't, which threw me off a little bit, to be honest. But it's interesting to know that there is alternatives out there if you don't just want Shopify. Like, obviously, we're not sponsored by Shopify. It's not why we're saying it a billion times.
One day. I wouldn't
Please
complain.
sponsor us.
Yeah.
But it's like there is alternatives out there, and maybe the alternatives are better. She didn't think so, but, you know, it could be more fit for purpose.
Yeah.
So if you are building a brand that's not particularly product-based, as in, like, normal product that's not edible, then you could look at these alternatives.
Sure. Very interesting.
Yeah, and the Royal Mail thing was quite funny as well.
I thought you were going to ask me what I thought, Harrison.
Oh, my bad. So I'll carry on. The Royal Mail thing was quite interesting as well. I say it's funny, but not
unbelievable.
For her.
Funny looking back.
They obviously saw it come in, right? And they saw the brand name and they're like, yep, they're yummy. They're mine.
We know they're good. Yeah.
What did you think of that episode?
No, it's really interesting. I liked the part on building a personal brand. If she was going to do it again today, whatever
Yeah.
industry you're in, try and build a personal brand. It's come up
And
a lot, hasn't it?
It's the getting in front of the camera.
No.
I mean, it's funny
Awful,
because we're
isn't
in
it?
front of one right now.
But you don't feel
Shut up.
like it until the stuff goes out. I don't feel like I'm in front of the camera now. But when I see myself
No,
in 2 days' time, I'm like,
yeah, neither.
what the hell was I doing?
But if you go back and look at the first 2 episodes, look at my face. I'm like dead red.
Yeah.
It's like I've been upside down for 20 minutes. It's crazy. It's like I was dying. But it is like I guess it is a skill. Would you disagree?
And also, they slightly unrelated, but they stayed adaptable, didn't they? Through all the challenges, she didn't give up. Most people would have given up when they were in debt, and it seemed like the whole world was crumbling in. They'd have given up, but she didn't.
They would
She
have,
carried
they would
on.
have gone to
And now
Tesco and bought the cheap ingredients.
They would have exactly that.
But she didn't. She
What
kept
did you,
to
John Harrison?
her morals. I'd have kept to the morals. The thing is with a business like that, though, is it's a bit like Two Magpies Bakery. The reason people shop with you is because you have proper
A
ingredients.
USP, yeah.
And the moment you get rid of them ingredients, just go to Tesco and buy the brownies there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
No,
like,
well, that is their USP, that they've got local, healthier ingredients. So
yeah, like
really
local
interesting
produce.
conversation, and different to what we normally do. It's slightly different business idea, which I thought was.
Yeah.
I liked how they adapted it to the online world as well. So it was interesting. Really enjoyed it.
That was good. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
thank
you for listening. Hit the like button, subscribe, comment something we can do better, all the usual stuff, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.